at Al-Azhar International Convention Center was organized by the Ministry of Religious Endowment. It was attended by Prime Minister Sharif Ismail and Grand Mufti Dr. Shawqi Allem, as well as a number of high-ranking officials. Addressing the celebration, Minister of Endowment Dr. Muhammad Mukhtar Gom'a said, "We should learn from the Prophet's teachings." He said Islam is meant to be a source of peace for humanity, noting that if half resources directed towards were spent on construction and development, the whole world would be different.
Welcome back. So, sir, of course, we have all watched the speech delivered by the president yesterday. And actually, even though, of course, he is addressing the nation on such a great occasion, yet he tackled many different important points as well.
Nice.
And let me start again by the religious discourse. And we have been talking about it. Even the president himself has been talking about it a long time ago. And even I like the idea that he was not only talking about Islam, but he was talking about religion in general,
right,
and how we can all cope and cooperate together.
Yes.
So how do you read it?
Well, certainly this is a very important point, because you see a lot of people now discussing religious issues from their point of view and without any professional background, and thus causing a lot of false ideas, you see, to people which really do not have any idea about religion, you see. So they communicate wrong messages about religion and wrong beliefs. So on the other side, you see, it was very important that we put everything on the right track, you see. What he said also is it's not going to be, the issues are not going to be only religious, you see. They're going to be general issues, and they're going to be experts which are going to handle each issue individually, you see. So this is all very, very important, because a lot of people now talk about issues that they're not professionals. They're giving wrong ideas, you see. And unfortunately, the majority of the people here believe in what is said. So it will be very important that we have to streamline our communication channels and also project the right ideas, you see, to the people. This is certainly due to the lack of education, again, and the lack of culture, you see, that most of the Egyptians lack, you see. They do not read and they don't go through professionalism, you see. They listen to a rumor and they believe in it, you see. This is not acceptable any time. So this is very, very, very important point that the president has just stressed on.
That even also he referred to the economic reforms,
right,
and all of this.
Yes.
And he also mentioned that even during the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, there were many actions and procedures taken as well. And maybe the support of all people together would help a lot, because definitely, even sometimes we are not happy with certain issues, but at the end, if there is no other choice, we have to work together, yes, just to overcome challenges.
Right. Again, I would like to add about the economic issues that, again, this is an integrated program. You see, until now, certainly there are certain aspects which didn't take place. You see, the low-income bracket people, they are the most which were affected by these economic reforms. So I would suggest that we have to revise again the minimum wage. We have to see the people with low income brackets and try to elevate them, you see, because these are the people which get most affected by the price, specifically the price increases, because as you know, probably you are aware of that most of the people are complaining about prices, you see. So this mechanism, also the people which got pensions, you see, these are low-income people and which with a limited financial ability. So these also should be taken care of. So it's a social network that, like the president mentioned, but still nothing had been taken, no positive action until now had been taken. The first part has been done, but still we have a lot of other issues to be handled.
Right. To continue taking a look at the headlines, moving on to أخبار اليوم. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stressed on the need to continue efforts to expand and develop the social safety networks, as well as strengthen the solidarity among the government, the private sector, and civil society organizations in order to increase support for low-income brackets. President al-Sisi called on the government to control the increase in prices of basic goods and to intensify monitoring the markets. He also called for the coordination between the government and the unions of industries and investors, as well as the chambers of commerce, in order to maintain prices and provide the markets with the basic food commodities. This came during the president's meetings on Thursday with the Prime Minister Sharif Ismail and Ministers of Social Solidarity, Finance and Supply. So talking also about this meeting, to continue what we started talking, yes, in the speech that was delivered. Still, we are talking how to provide, as you mentioned, even the subsidies to people who really deserve it. And this has always been the challenge, actually.
On the other side, you see, you've been mentioned here, I think the private sector should take a role. Again, in order to replace foreign goods, you see, we have to concentrate on quality. Unfortunately, our private sector doesn't, until now, provide quality products, you see, in certain areas, not in all areas. So taking quality into consideration in order to replace foreign goods, and this will have an impact on the demand on foreign currency again. It's going to lower the demand on foreign currency. Certain goods, you see, can be produced locally with good qualities. This, unfortunately, didn't take place. We have 4,000 industries, factories which are closed right now. I think we could revamp this and start working on this and the government concentrating on encouraging these people to go back to the business, you see, because probably until now there has not been any positive action, you see, because you have the infrastructure, so it's very easy. You have the factories, you have the machines, you have everything. All you need is probably some money to restart the business again, you see. So that's very, very important in order to reduce the demand on foreign currency. And that's would have a positive impact on the rate of the dollar, like the President just mentioned yesterday, that this is not a realistic price, you see. So we're going to see what's going to happen again.
Right, as for Al Ghumhuriyya newspaper, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry met Thursday in New York City with the next Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, after concluding a visit to Washington. Shoukry expressed Egypt's confidence that the experienced official will lead the UN with complete independence and transparency. And Guterres said he appreciated Egypt's support for his bid to run for the international post and underscored the Arab country's importance internationally and prominent role in maintaining stability and security in the region. How do you read this, sir?
Again, this is a very important visit to see. Specifically, the timing is very important because we have a change in the American administration. You see, we have a new administration coming in. Probably, I do not expect, a lot of people expect there to be a dramatic change. You see, I would like to stress a very important point, that the strategy and the policy of the United States doesn't change with the change of the people. The tactics change only, you see. But the whole strategy remains the same.
It's an institution.
Exactly. They have an institution. There are think tanks. There are a lot of other organizations that influence the decision. The president has very limited authority, you see. So this has to be taken into consideration. We should not have high expectations. You remember when the Obama came, we thought everything is going to be very rosy, but I had another opinion which was reversed to all this here, and I said that the strategy again will not change, but it's all, you see, and nothing actually has changed. But however, this is a very important point in order to that the Minister of Foreign Affairs is going to explain probably, and to the Congress. He met a lot of people from the Congress, from the IMF. He met Mrs. Christine Lagarde. He's meeting now the Secretary General. So it is probably a method of communicating what's going on in Egypt and getting the support of the United Nations specifically, and the US, because he had a visit to the US and visited a lot of think tanks and congressmen and probably the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Secretary of State, John Kerry. So this is a very important visit. You see, communication is very important in order that the people in the United States know. And I don't know if you're aware that the CNN has projected an interview with the Minister Shoukry in the United States. This is the first time, you see, that we see the CNN getting someone from Egypt. You see, they used to neglect or not even talk about Egypt. So this is a big change, and we hope it's going to continue again.
Right. Moving on to Al Shuruq newspaper. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry participates in the Political Dialogue Forum, which kicks off on Friday in Bahraini capital Al Manama. The forum is set to tackle the armed conflicts in the Middle East and the future of U.S. policy through the new administration, aiming at exchanging views on the challenges that face the security of the region. The forum, which brings together world leaders and security experts over 3 days, is organized by the International Institute for Strategic Studies, including participants from more than 20 countries. This is, again, just as you mentioned now, a few minutes ago, talking about, everyone is talking about how the future will be, talking about the Middle East, talking about the new administration in the United States. So, again, when it comes to this meeting, for example, because definitely the Middle East or the Arab countries, they have many challenges. Yes.
Certainly.
But again, I believe this will never be solved without the unity, the unity
and the will from
all
Arab countries.
The Arab countries,
this is true.
Leaders and citizens.
We should not depend on the foreign power.
On the contrary, actually.
Exactly. Certainly, we should depend on ourselves. And I'd like to give an example. You mentioned something very important, the unity. You remember during the October War, all the Arabs united. You see, Saudi Arabia played a very pivotal role in the oil business. A lot of countries give us money and supplied us. Algeria supplies us 200 tanks and arms, you see. So there was an Arab unity. That's why we succeeded, you see. And this is a role model we should take into consideration, that we could do things if we are united, you see. This is a very, very important point, you see. So the October War is an example of success. It is a success story. You see, we have all united, we have all, and the United States and Europe had to restructure their strategy based on what happened in the Middle East during the 70s again.
Right, moving on to Al-Ahram Online. Interior Ministry said in a statement that the security forces killed on Thursday a militant during security raid in the metropolitan Cairo area. The militant was killed after opening fire at police forces, and the police raided an apartment building in Abu Zabal in northern Cairo, where state intelligence sources indicated the militant was actually living. The statement said the man was wanted for his involvement in a range of violent incidents, including attacks on security checkpoints and police personnel.
Again, this is a very important role, you see, that the government is playing now to control and try to minimize these terrorists, because they, as we mentioned before, there are a lot of escapes that they can, from the Libyan border, you see, Egyptian-Libyan border. Probably the Sinai border now, it's a bit difficult to see because the army has a lot of forces there. But you see, our western borders are quite open again. And probably these guys have been trained somewhere outside and been smuggling through the borders there and came in. But still, efforts are done. And it's good that they have found this guy, because I think there are a lot of others which are, and there are a lot of plans that probably we don't know, but certainly we should attribute to the efforts done by the police and by the armed forces in order to keep security in the country, which has reduced dramatically.
Right. Moving on to Egypt Independent. Head of the Egyptian trading pharmaceutical company, Adel Tolba, instructed by the government to import the shortage medicines which are unavailable on the market. He said the first shipment of the medicines arrived early on Wednesday and the rest will arrive next Tuesday. And the medicines will be distributed among hospitals and pharmacies starting next Saturday. He said also the shipment which arrived in Cairo includes 20,000 packages of human albumin and other things actually that the people need here.
Actually, this is a very important point, probably that was not taken into consideration by the government. You see, when they had the flotation of the Egyptian pound, this had a dramatic effect on the cost of medicine, you see, because as you know, the raw material for medicine is imported from abroad. So, the companies are not allowed to change the prices of medicine with an approval from the Ministry of Health, you see. So there was a problem here, you see, because these people were losing money, and we had a threat that most of these companies might close down and leave Egypt, you see. So this was one of the issues, you see, that should have been studied before taking what would be the actions if we do this, because certainly medicine is a strategic product. It's not a luxury product like cars or ice creams or pet food or things
It's
of
a
that sort.
basic
It's a basic thing, you see. So unfortunately, the government didn't take proactive. They reacted against when the problem came, you see. So, and I don't know if you had, you learned probably there were lots of shortages in certain medicines throughout the last few weeks. But however, probably I think the problem has been solved again now with this issue that we are trying to get to fill the gaps in the market now with the medicine, as mentioned now in the newspaper.
Right, and finally from Al-Ahram Online, the central bank said on Thursday that Egypt will issue a $1 billion one-year treasury bill denominated in US dollars. It set the auction deadline at 9 GMT on Monday, December 12, and said the bill would be settled on December 13. How do you read this?
Again, you see, this is, I am really a bit concerned, you see, when we start, this is a sort of borrowing money from above, because it's not a grant, you see. You have to be very specific about that, how these funds will be directed to productive issues that are going to get a rate on return on the investment, or they're going to be directed to consumerism, because this is in the case that if we could direct them to consumerism, we didn't do anything.
So it is the allocation.
But the allocation of the resources, if we're going to send them to investments, it will be very, very important. Unfortunately, in the past, we used to buy fuel with them, commodities and things of that sort. Until now,
to satisfy the needs.
Exactly, the immediate needs. But unfortunately, until now, we still didn't see any plan for using the funds, specifically the fund of the IMF. It was not mentioned how we're going to use the 12 billion. However, we're going to see.
Right, Mr. Mostafa Reda, thank you very much for joining us. And still, we have more. So let's move on to a quick break, and then we will be back to resume our breakfast.
Be the first to know. The news live at the site of the event. Information on events as they are happening. If it's breaking news, it's Nile TV.